لا إله إلا الله.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا إنه من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله وصفيه من خلقه وخليله بلغ الرسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح الأمة وكشف الغمة وتركها على المحجة البيضاء ليلها كنهارها لا يزيغ عنها إلا هالك. أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله تعالى وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. وما قل وكفى خير مما كثر وألهى وإنما توعدون لآت وما أنتم بمعجزين. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. ثم أما بعد عباد الله, to proceed, O servants of Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had given us sufficient advice in the Quran, sufficient counsel in the Quran that should be enough for our success and prosperity in this life and the one to come. The Prophet ﷺ had further elaborated on this and explained it and clarified it in a way that should leave no room for us to fail or to claim that we have not been warned sufficiently, that we have not been informed sufficiently. And that does not only apply to us as individuals, but it also applies to us as groups and communities, as well as the nation at large. So sufficient is the reminder of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and sufficient is the education of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam for all of us if we are people of heedfulness, people that actually contemplate, people that actually want their own success and prosperity in this life and the one to come. And at the same time, it is not enough to want, it is also important to have resolve. It is important to have the strength and the resolve to seek that which you want. Imam Muslim reports from Abi Hurairah radiallahu anhu that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, "Al-mu'minu al-qawiyyu khayrun wa ahabbu ila Allahi min al-mu'min al-da'if wa fi kullin khayr. احرص على ما ينفعك واستعن بالله ولا تعجز ولا تقولن لشيء لو كان كذا لكان كذا وكذا ولكن قل قدر الله وما شاء فعل أو قدر الله وما شاء فعل." The meaning of this is that the strong believer is more beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than the weak one, and there is goodness in both, the strong and the weak one. But the strong believer is more beloved to Allah than one who is weak. Then the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam proceeded to say, "احرص على ما ينفعك." Be keen or work hard to attain that which is of benefit for you. Be keen to attain that which is of benefit for you, or that which is beneficial. And that applies to beneficial in the dunya and beneficial in the akhirah. احرص على ما ينفعك واستعن بالله ولا تعجز, and seek help from Allah. استعن بالله ولا تعجز, and do not be powerless. ولا تقولن لشيء لو كان كذا لكان كذا وكذا, and do not say to an affair or to a matter that missed you or some loss of yours, do not say to anything. The Prophet ﷺ said, do not say to a thing or to a matter. That means a matter that you have missed or a matter that you have lost. لو كان كذا لكان كذا وكذا, had it been this way, such and such would have happened. ولكن قل قدر الله وما شاء فعل, but say this is the destiny of Allah, and Allah had done what He willed. Allah did what He willed or executed what He willed. فإن لو تفتح عمل الشيطان, for the word لو opens the gate for Satan, opens the gate for the devil. This hadith alone gives us a roadmap. If you take this hadith along with Surah Al-Asr, which is another roadmap at a higher level that is given to us by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَالْعَصْرِ إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ. By the token of time, all mankind is in loss except for those who had the right faith, amanu, who believed, وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ, did righteousness, وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ, enjoined one another to the truth, وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ, enjoined one another to patience. If you take Surah Al-Asr first, since it is the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Most High, both in wording and meaning, it's his speech both in wording and meaning, whereas the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ are from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in meaning, but the wording is from the Prophet ﷺ. So if we take Allah's speech in wording and meaning first, Surah Al-Asr, because it's also a roadmap at a higher level, it tells us about 4 steps. The first one is to have faith, to have the right faith. And the second one is to do the right actions. And the third one is to actually preach it. It is actually to disseminate it, to disseminate the message and preach it, and persuade people of it. And the last one is to have resolve, perseverance, consistency, patience, to stay the course, in other words, and to not let go of the challenge that is ahead of anyone that embarks on this path. So this surah tells us exactly in the right order what each and every one of us needs to do, and it also hints to what communities need to do, Muslim communities need to do. We need first to establish the faith. We need first to be true believers, because the faith is the foundation of all that will come thereafter. All of the actions, all of the deeds, all of the interactions between people, between groups, between communities, all of this will be actually the external manifestation or the reflection, the outside reflection of what's in the hearts. That outside reflection of what's in the hearts should not veil us from the fact that it is all in the heart. And what manifests is basically what filters out on one's actions, on one's behaviors, on one's practices. That does not mean that action is not important, because the Prophet ﷺ committed to action in his Sahaba until certainty had come to them. وَعَبُدْ رَبَّكَ حَتَّى يَأْتِيَكَ الْيَقِينَ, and worship your Lord until certainty comes to you, and certainty is death. So it does not mean that action is not important, but it means that all of our actions are actually a reflection, an outside reflection of what we believe inside, deep inside. So we need to establish our faith, and we need to really have a true recognition of Allah, true recognition of who Allah is, true recognition of what this life is about, what this life is worth. And if you truly know what Allah is like and what the people are like, and then you favor to deal with the people over dealing with Allah, or you favor to draw closer to the people versus drawing closer to Allah, then you either have not known enough, or you are rich and wicked, because once someone has truly recognized who is Allah and who are the people, and then favors to please the people over pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then this person is ignorant or wicked. And there could be no other description for that person. It is either dhalum or jahul. It is either oppressor, transgressor, here he would have transgressed himself, or jahul, exceedingly ignorant. Jahul means exceedingly ignorant. The same applies to the one who truly recognizes the worth of this life and truly ponders over what this life is about, the uncertainty of this life, and even when it is certain, the transient nature of this life should have been sufficient to make any one of us put it in the right place, put this life in the right place. In addition to the uncertainty, about when you will die, uncertainty of whether you will succeed or fail, uncertainty of everything, uncertainty of what will happen to you right after you walk out of this masjid, or whether you will walk out of this masjid now. So, in addition to the uncertainty, there is also the transient nature of this life. And some of the righteous predecessors, some of the Salaf Salih used to say, والله لو كانت الدنيا ذهبا يفنى والآخرة خزفا يبقى لما آثر عاقل الخزف الذي يفنى على الذهب، لما آثر عاقل الذهب الذي يفنى على الخزف الذي يبقى، فما بالك والدنيا خزف يفنى والآخرة ذهب يبقى. So Al-Fudayl ibn Iyad, one of our righteous predecessors, used to say, Wallahi by Allah, had the life of this world been made out of gold, but it is transient, and the akhirah is made out of pottery, but it is permanent, no sane person would favor the permanent, would favor the transient gold over the permanent pottery. So how about if this life, or the life of this world, is in fact transient pottery, and the life of the hereafter is permanent gold? Who would favor the transient pottery over the permanent gold? Except someone who is insane. So faith is number one, and then doing acts of righteousness would come next to faith, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala always combined between Iman and Al-Amal As-Salih, to say to the people who claim to have faith but do not have Al-Amal As-Salih, that their claim is lacking proof, their claim is lacking substantiation, because we said that the Al-Amal As-Salih is the external manifestation of the internal reality, which is the submission to Allah, the reality inside of you, which is the reality of submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and worship of Allah and being a true slave and servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, will manifest on your outside. That means what? It does not mean that it is sufficient to have that faith inside, because the good deeds are just the manifestation, external manifestation, or the outside reflection. It actually means that if there are no good deeds, there is no good faith. Because you will have to see the consequences of that faith. You'll have to see the effect of that faith. You'll have to see the impact, the result, or the reflection of that faith on one's actions. So the second thing would be to do righteousness. And Al-Amal As-Salih would not be only limited to acts of ibadah or acts of worship. In fact, it has been reported that the Prophet ﷺ said, إذا قامت الساعة في يد أحدكم فسيلة فإن استطاع ألا تقوم حتى يغرسها فليفعل. If the hour rises and one of you has a seedling in his hand, let him plant it if he can. Let him plant it if he can. So righteous deeds are way beyond fasting and prayers. So fasting and prayers are of the pillars of Islam for sure. But doing righteousness is looking after the orphan, looking after the needy, visiting the sick, trying to work for the establishment of the community in various ways. In fact, teaching people who don't read how to read, or teaching people who don't speak an important language for their livelihood, the language, or something of that nature. This would all be under Al-Amal As-Salih. As the Prophet ﷺ said, as reported by Tabarani from Ibn Umar, أحب الناس إلى الله أنفعهم للناس. The most beloved people in the sight of Allah are those who are most beneficial to the people. And that is all under al-amal as-salih, as you all know. So the third step would be the tawasaw bil-haqq, which is enjoining one another to the truth. Enjoining one another to the truth brings us to another level here, which is the realization that without a community you will not be able to do it alone. You can't really practice your deen to the fullest and protect the deen of your kids without the help of the community. Therefore, your concern about the well-being of the community should not be a secondary concern or a trivial concern. It is a concern about your own well-being in a sense. Because without a righteous community, it will be extremely hard for you to be righteous on your own. That's why the Prophet ﷺ said in the hadith that's reported by Ahmad and Abu Dawud and others, عَلَيْكُمْ بِالْجَمَاعَةِ فَإِنَّمَا يَأْكُلُ الذِّئْبُ مِنَ الْغَنَمِ الْقَاسِيَةِ. Stay with the jama'ah, stay with the group or the congregation, for the wolf will only devour the lone sheep, So that importance, that sense of the importance of the jama'ah is quite important for the plan to succeed. That four-phased plan that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us in Surah Al-Asr, to have the right faith, to do the right action, to enjoin one another to the truth, to go out and help make a righteous community that will be the right environment or the right medium for your own faith and the faith of your children to thrive and prosper. And then, lastly, to stay the course, with also sabr, and enjoying one another to patience, to have the resolve to stay on this path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. An indication also that very fourth phase that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned is an indication that one should not think that it comes at an easy price. The success and prosperity and being a true slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would come as at an easy price or effortlessly. It requires effort and it may require sacrifice. And if one is not ready for such sacrifice, then one has not truly gone through the first few phases. So then one needs to go back and establish faith all anew. Because if one truly established faith and did righteousness and went out and enjoined people to the truth, then he will be ready to handle the calamities or afflictions or tests and trials that will sort out the true believer from the sort of mediocre believer or the non-believer. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will have to put people in their own rankings, and the higher rankings will only belong to those who stay the course until the end of it. Now, this is a plan of success. The plan of success that was provided in the hadith of Muslim from Abi Hurairah radiallahu anhu is also an important plan that we really have to take in consideration. المؤمن القوي خير وأحب إلى الله من المؤمن الضعيف. The strong believer is more beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than the weak believer. What does that mean? Does it mean the strong in belief is more beloved to Allah than the weak in belief? No, it wouldn't be something the Prophet ﷺ would say, because the Prophet ﷺ would not say something that is a given, would not basically speak of a given as news, because yes, it is a given. If the one who has greater belief will be more beloved to Allah than the one who has weaker belief. The strong believer is more beloved to Allah than the weak believer, means the believer who is also strong in his qualities. He has qualities of strength He is one that is not deceived. He is one that is powerful, capable, achiever, accomplished, and so on and so forth. And that is certainly because one who did this would either do it for the vain cause or for the right cause. And if he did it for the right cause, then he will be a great asset for the deen and for ibadillah salihin, for the deen and for the righteous servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Like Umar radiallahu anhu, for instance, as Bukhari reports from Abdullah ibn Umar, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, لقد رأيتني على قليب أنزع بدلو بكرة فنزعت ما شاء الله أن أنزع ثم جاء أبو بكر فنزع في نزعه ضعف والله يغفر له ثم جاء عمر فنزع فما رأيت عبقريا من الرجال يفري فريه حتى روى الناس وضربوا بعطل. So the Prophet ﷺ says here that I saw in a dream that I was at the edge of a well and I was drawing or pulling water out of the well, and I did this until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had decreed that I stop, or did this for as much as Allah willed. And then Abu Bakr came and he did some, and there was weakness in his pulling or drawing, and then Umar came and he took the bucket فأخذ الدلو فانقلبت في يده غربة. He took the bucket and then it turned into his hand like a huge one, like an enormous one. And so he continued to draw water out of the well until all people were given water, and they also gave water to their camels, and they took their camels back to their rest places. So that is because of the strength of Umar, in terms of the accomplishment of Umar, the achievements of Umar, the strength of Umar. This hadith is reported by Bukhari, by the way. There is no controversy about its authenticity. The beauty here is that the Prophet ﷺ did recognize in this hadith that even though Umar had less faith than Abu Bakr, because Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu is the most complete in faith of this ummah after the Prophet ﷺ, yet Umar was more accomplished because of the strength that Allah had bestowed on him and various qualities and skills that were unique in Umar radiallahu anhu, and it does not need explanation. So the genius of Umar, the Prophet ﷺ said that he took the bucket and it turned into a huge one in his hand, and he started to give water to the people, and the Prophet ﷺ said also, فَمَا رَأَيْتُ عَبْقَرِيًّا مِنَ الرِّجَالِ يَفْرِي فَرِيًّا, I have not seen a genius amongst men that can do his works. I have not seen a genius amongst men that can do his works. Would you like to be a genius? That is the issue. Would you like to be pioneering and outstanding achiever for this ummah? That is a question that each and every one of us needs to ask of himself. Do I just want to just be around, or do I want to do something that is beneficial, that is outstanding, that is helpful, that will be of benefit for so many people? Maybe the weakness of my ibadah or the weakness of my iman maybe this work will make up for the weakness of my ibadah or the weakness of my iman, because this work could be exponential. The work that you do for people, the da'wah that you give to people, the help with which you help people, after you do it, all all of the good to come out of it will be in your scale of good deeds. So it is exponential in growth, the work that you do with people. So you want to ask yourself whether you want to be the weak believer or the strong believer. That is the believer with strength, with skills and qualities, or the believer without. The Prophet ﷺ said in this hadith, الْمُؤْمِنُ الْقَوِيُّ خَيْرٌ وَأَحَبُّ إِلَى اللَّهِ مِنَ الْمُؤْمِنِ الضَّعِيفِ. The strong believer is more beloved to Allah than the weak believer. وَفِي كُلٍّ خَيْرٍ. And there is goodness in both. The Prophet ﷺ said, his belief is all good. So the Prophet ﷺ said, and there is goodness in both. احرص على ما ينفعك. Be keen to attain that which is of benefit for you. You really need to identify what is of benefit for you first. And if you look at the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, you can actually extract so much about principles of management, principles of life management, corporate management, all kinds of management out of the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, and certainly, almost certainly, the Quran first. So the issue here is that you have to identify what is of benefit for you. And the Prophet ﷺ did intentionally say, مَا يَنْفَعُكَ, that which is of benefit for you, and he did not say that which is of benefit for you in the hereafter. Because that which is of benefit for you could be in this dunya or in the hereafter. The Sahaba radhiyallahu alayhim used to not waste time. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud used to say, I hate the man, إِنِّي أَكْرَهُ الرَّجُلَ التَّافِهِ. I hate the frivolous man, or the insignificant man. And then they asked him, who is the insignificant man? And he said, الَّذِي لَا يَكُونُ فِي أَمْرِ دِينٍ وَلَا دُنْيَا. The one who is not busy with an affair of this deen, affair of the deen, or an affair of the dunya. So he's basically idle. He's not working for, his deen, and he's not working for his dunya. So that is الرجل التافه, or the insignificant, frivolous man. And the Sahaba radhiyallahu alayhim also used to say, لا ينبغي أن يرى الرجل العاقل إلا ساعيا من أجل حسنة لمعاده أو درهم لمعاشه. The sane man should not be seen except working for a hasana, like a good deed, for لمعاده, for the day of his return, for the hereafter, or dirham, money, لمعاشه, for his living, for his livelihood. So that is what we as Muslims need to do. Enough waste of time, because if you combine and gather and add up the time wasted by each and every one of us in this room, in this musalla, not in this ummah, it would be enormous. The time that has been wasted in nonsense, or basically idleness, is enormous, let alone the time that has been wasted in haram. Forget about that. We're just talking about the time that has been wasted in idleness or nonsense. So much good would have been realized if we truly just learned that lesson, to be keen on attaining that which is a benefit for you, to not be wasted, because you can waste yourself, you can waste your life by idleness or doing things that are non-sensible. احرص على ما ينفعك واستعن بالله ولا تعجز, and seek help from Allah, do not be powerless. Seek help from Allah, do not be powerless, because that strong believer needs to learn that he has to seek help from Allah, because the strong believer, if he truly believes that it is his strength that made him attain his objectives, that is when he destroyed himself. If he truly believes that it is my skills, my qualities, my smartness, my courage, my power that helped me attain my objectives, help the people, once you have relied on yourself, that is when your ego will blossom, and that is when your ego will take over, and that is when you have been destroyed already. That is actually your sentence of death. It is always the favor of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala upon us. The very fact that you are capable of anything is a gift from Allah. Had you really done anything to yourself in the womb of your mother, had you really contributed to your makeup, to the creation of your brain or your limbs or your organs in the womb of your mother. No, you have not. Have you really chosen even who your mother is, or who your father is, or what your genetic sort of ancestry is, or your tribe or your nation, or have you chosen anything? No, you have not. Then to be proud of something that you have no hand in is basically arrogant, and it is just the ultimate in self-deceit. So, istan billah, seek help from Allah. Know that it is ultimately Allah's help that made you capable. And thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for making you capable of helping others, or for making you capable, for making you outspoken, for making you powerful, for making you intelligent, for making you this or that. It is all Allah's favor on you. Ista'an billahi wa la ta'jiz. La ta'jiz is also one of the powerful statements of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. La ta'jiz, and it is not la ta'jiz. Don't say la ta'jiz. It should be la ta'jiz. La ta'jiz means what? Do not be powerless. And is it in our hands to be or not be powerless? Yes, it is in our hands most of the time to be or not be powerless. Have you seen how many, people who are blind and accomplished, people who are deaf and accomplished, people who are handicapped in severe ways and extremely accomplished in this life, and they've contributed to this life, and they've contributed to the well-being and the welfare of their communities, and so on and so forth. So it is basically weakness of resolve, powerlessness of resolve. It is not powerlessness of your body. Most of the time, powerlessness is not about your body. It is not about your intelligence. It's not about your genuine innate skills. It is rather about your resolve, your determination. So in this case, the Prophet ﷺ, it was suitable and appropriate of the Prophet ﷺ to say to you, do not be powerless, because you are the one who decides whether or not to be powerless. So, استعن بالله ولا تعجز ولا تقولن لشيء لو كان كذا لكان كذا وكذا ولكن قل قدر الله وما شاء فعل. And do not say to an affair or a matter, had it been this way, such and such would have happened, but say that is the destiny of Allah and He did what He willed, or that is what Allah destined and He did what He willed. And now, فإن لو تفتح عمل الشيطان, for لو, saying لو, had this happened this way, it opens the gate for the devil. And now, is it true that you never say, had I done it this way, such and such would have happened? Well, that basically means that you do not go back and assess what you have done and blame yourself for your shortcomings and try to correct them. To some people that may mean that. That is not what the Prophet ﷺ intended. And the Sunnah is full of explanation that this is not what the Prophet ﷺ intended. That is why Imam Taymiyyah, may Allah bestow mercy on him, said that al-qadar إنما يحتج بالقدر على المصائب ولكن لا يحتج به على المعائب. So al-qadar is to be used, or to be used as a plea by one in the case of afflictions and disasters and afflictions that have befallen him, and it is not to be used. It is not to be used in the case of shortcomings and sins. إنما شرع الاستغفار للمعايب. Imam Taymiyyah said that al-ma'ayib, or the shortcomings, the sins, your own failures, what should be done in this case is istighfar, to seek Allah's forgiveness, not to basically say, well, it was destined. In fact, he proceeded to say that there has not been a sane person, and there has not been a nation that that is memorable in the history of humanity that actually used the qadar in the case of ma'ayib, or in the case of shortcomings and failures. Because that basically means what? It means complete destruction. It means complete failure. Because if we continue to do the same mistake over and over, and we are so clever at doing this as Muslims, contemporary Muslims, not Muslims in general, this ummah in general is the best nation brought forth to humanity. Yet, عافية هذه الأمة, the strength of this ummah was placed in its beginning, in the first generation and the ones to come. And as much as we get closer to their example, we will get closer to their results or success. But this ummah had always been an ummah of accomplishment, yet we contemporary Muslims are so clever at failing, but yet exchanging hugs and kisses and jazakumullah khairan, and so on and so forth, and just proceeding without learning any lessons from the failure. Therefore, we are bound to repeat the same mistakes, and we are bound to live the same failure over and over again. That is not what the Prophet ﷺ meant, but the Prophet ﷺ meant, keep your positivity. Keep your positivity. If something happened, then rise again and keep your positivity. If you continue to be haunted by the past or the past failures, then you will not be able to proceed forward. قل قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه. الحمد لله وكفى وسلام وصلاة على عباده الذين اصطفى ثم أما بعد. To proceed, well, I have to congratulate you as a community on the new masjid. May Allah make it a blessed one and make the community a blessed community, and reconcile between your hearts and bring you together in unity, and make you of those stronger believers that will make something out of this favor. It's a favor, it's a ni'mah, it's a bounty from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to have granted this place for you, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be looking now to see what you will make out of it. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give you the guidance and the wisdom to appreciate the favor, and to respond in righteousness, and to respond also with strength and resolve to make it a true success, inshallah. اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه. اللهم لا تسلط علينا بذنوبنا من لا يخافك ولا يرحمنا. اللهم إنك عفو تحب العفو فاعف عنا. ربنا آت نفوسنا تقواها وزكها أنت خير من زكاها أنت وليها ومولاها. اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين. اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين. اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين. اللهم إن أرادنا والإسلام والمسلمين بشر فاجعل كيده في نحره واجعل تدبيره في تدميره وأدر الدائرة عليه. اللهم لا تدع لنا في هذا اليوم العظيم ذنبا إلا غفرته، ولا ميتا إلا رحمته، ولا مريضا إلا شفيته، ولا دينا إلا قضيته، ولا عورة إلا سترتها، ولا مجاهدا إلا نصرته، ولا أسيرا إلا فككته، ولا حاجة من حوائج الدنيا والآخرة لك فيها رضا ولنا فيها صلاح إلا قضيتها ويسرتها. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين، وأقم الصلاة إن الصلاة تنهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر، ولذكر الله أكبر، والله يعلم ما تصنعون.